I'm going to keep saying this and shouting it from the rooftops until I can't say it anymore. You deserve a rest. You deserve a break. You deserve a pause. And however that can look for you. The more I am revisiting my private video diaries from when I took my sabbatical 4 years ago, the more I am convinced that more women need to do this. Yes, I'm talking to Gen X women, but all women in various stages of their lives. And yes, likely men too, although from my observations, I do see that men do have a tendency of being able to sort of carve out alone time when they need it, carve out their own time when they need it. Of course, that's just my personal experience. I don't know. It's not based on any scientific information, but I'm talking to women today. So I definitely, I'm hoping you're following along this sabbatical journey and getting a sense of just sort of some of the inner healing that can happen, the inner thoughts, and how it's not all smooth sailing. It's not all sunshine and butterflies, but it is about sort of freeing. I literally felt like it was like freeing up space in my brain and in my heart to let some other stuff back in that hadn't been there in a while, or that I hadn't even addressed or noticed or paid attention to. So that, I think that's the big, one of the biggest things that I got from this overall experience. My name is Amy Palmer. I am your Gen X big sister. I talk about all things pretirement here. Pretirement is the last 10 to 15 years-ish before retirement. You're not ready to retire. Either you're not old enough and you just don't have the money yet, or you're mentally not ready. But one thing you do know is that you're done with your life as it is right now. Like, you are just so past it and exhausted. No more F's to give, as we've all been talking about. And what is the point of continuing to live your life exactly the way you're living it right now if it is absolutely making you miserable and sucking you dry? I don't know that I believed this 5 years ago, but I believe now you can design a life that aligns with your energy, your heart, your purpose, and still prepare for your retirement for later. That's what I talk about, and that's why I'm revisiting my sabbatical, because that's what kicked it off for me. And these next couple of diary entries are from when I got back east. So, once I packed up my stuff and did all that and got rid of most of my stuff, I didn't put my stuff in storage yet. I think I put it in my brother and sister-in-law's garage. It was extremely generous of them. So I went back to their house to do that, and then very quickly went to upstate New York because we had a big celebration for my dad. So I believe some of that is going to be covered in these video diaries and what I was navigating at this point. So let's take a look and see. Hello, this is Amy coming at you live from Mom and Dad's house in Syracuse, New York, lovely upstate New York. And I am here safely. Everything has gone. First of all, let me say, have you ever had things going so smoothly and everything coming together bit by bit, step by step, so much so that you keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. You keep waiting for something to go wrong, and knock on wood, so far so good. Everything moving right along. Movers came on time, pickup for my car was on time, everything got cleaned perfectly, everything was sorted, my flights were on time, my baggage all worked out well. It was my 3 bags were the very first 3 off the on the belt at the end of my flights. My flight arrived early on Friday, so I'm just trying to relax and receive and enjoy that and not wait for the other shoe to drop. But I'm still definitely mentally very much in doing mode. Doing mode. Like, what do I have to do? What do I have to do? What's going on? Like action, task lists, etc. And I'm trying to transition to being mode, just being and feeling and thinking. At lunch today, my brother mentioned, he's like, it must have been, bittersweet feelings all week or the last few weeks. And I absolutely 1,000%. However, I've been so incredibly busy that I haven't had time to feel the feelings and just sort of clear my mind and everything. So I'm looking forward to that happening. We're heading to Lake Placid tomorrow to celebrate Dad's 80th. Looking forward to seeing the whole family. Should be a wonderful, wonderful time. And then hopefully I definitely will have some time to relax and enjoy. What else? I think that's it. I mean, I'm moving right along, and I will keep you posted on what it takes to go from doing to being and what the result of that is. Hope you're all having a fabulous day, fabulous evening, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Okay. Yes. Okay. So it's funny because hearing these back, I am able to almost transport myself back to that mode. So maybe I must have flown directly to my parents' house because that's my parents' yard that I was in. And I do remember like no longer having things to do right away. But I remember this low level buzz that was still going on, this low level, I talked about it like the waiting for the other shoe to drop. That was how I described it. But I remember it as being like this underlying buzz of anxiety and worry that was like a constant. It wasn't at a high volume like it had been, but it was at a low volume. And I think I wasn't rested yet. I still wasn't rested. And so I wasn't thinking completely clearly. I think that had something to do with it. And I love that I was on top of the versus doing thing. I knew I wanted to get to that place, being versus doing. I feel I've made great progress in that regard and living in the moment and appreciating the small micro joys around you and the small quiet around you and not having to be go, go, go all the time. And I think that it's even as I've become more productive again and launching my businesses and getting some corporate contracts, bringing in some freelance work, all of that, even as when I get into that like high productivity phase, I still have a very different approach to it. I match it to my energy flows and I learn to just sort of like be in the moment and rest when I need to and go slow when I need to. And because I have periods of time where my energy is like real high and my motivation, my determination, like all those things. And I have a tendency to be able to get a lot done during that time. And it feels really good when I do it. So that's what I do. And then I make sure that I'm scheduling in a rest time after that. And for those of you that are into like human life design, I am a projector, which I think that is and like what I just described in terms of energy flow and being in sync. I think that has to do with that. I don't know much about it. I had my design done and I had it interpreted. A big part of it went right over my head. But anyway, I'd be interested. I am interested in learning a little bit more about that if I can keep it simple, because I think it might be nice to kind of understand how to like match your energy and go with your energy. But being versus doing, I think, is a great thing to aspire to. And I think that a lot of us women are catching on to that right now. So interesting. Let's take a look at the next entry. Good morning, everybody. It's Amy coming at you live from Lake Placid, New York. Actually, Mirror Lake at Lake Placid, New York. Specifically from Camp Awesome. A little bit of a misty, drizzly morning today. We've been here for a couple of days now. It's been a really great time so far, keeping really busy. So, a couple of updates. Having a nice time with family, which is nice. A couple of things on my mind. Sorry, freshly out of the shower. No makeup. A couple of things I've been thinking about. One being busting out of seasons of depression. It's definitely true that I've managed to put an end to this particular round of depression right now, and that was through external deadlines. That tends to work for me. It's got to be something external. So, I had a deadline of my lease ending. I had a deadline of when I needed to be here for this event celebrating with my family. And I had a long list of actions that needed to be taken in order to, before the deadlines. And I was able to, that awful saying, pull myself up by my bootstraps thing, but sometimes that comes in handy. I was able to do that and really push myself to get all those things done. And it definitely has had a positive impact on my mood and my mindset, and definitely not feeling the cloud of depression that I had been feeling for a very long time. Having said that, that's not always possible. I don't want people feeling, or anyone that hears this, that might be struggling with depression. Sometimes you can't just will yourself out of it. Sometimes you can't just busy yourself out of it. And when people that I love suffer from things like this, I'm a huge proponent of getting help. I've gone to therapy in the past. I've done medication in the past, which I found very helpful. And if I ever felt that I was deeply in danger in any way, or had any serious thoughts of suicide that I felt that I was going to act on or anything like that, I would definitely seek additional help, outside help, medication, whatever it takes to get through it. Luckily, I did not have to do that this time. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I'm pushed through at the moment. I'm not thinking of future right now, which is a pretty cool feeling. I mean, I'm as far in the future I'm going as like a couple of weeks, really. So if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, you'll see the gorgeous pictures I've been posting of this place the last few days. And like Sarah commented on one of them, that looks like you're moving from doing to being, and I'm definitely heading in that direction. Not always easy when you've got a lot of people around and you're on a little bit of a timetable and all that kind of thing, but still I'm using this opportunity to try to let go, try not to control, try not to be the controlling one in the room, and trying to just enjoy the time. Oh, this would have been a nice do some kayaking. These guys got the right idea. Maybe I'll do that if it doesn't start raining any harder. Anyway, hope you are all doing well, and I will see you soon. Bye. All right. So I was already feeling like I wasn't depressed anymore. So that's good. But I do know that I was not at 100%. And I think it was that low grade stress, anxiety. I mentioned that I wasn't planning for the future yet, and I wasn't thinking about the future. I think that making the decision to do that and really working really hard on it. I mean, I was really just looking at the current time. I think that helped a lot in my healing, to be honest with you, too, because a lot of my stress and stuff was coming from projecting into the future. So I find the other interesting thing is I was there at Lake Placid. That was a very quiet moment. I was early in the morning. I went out to the dock to make my video diary, but I was staying in a house with my entire extended family, celebrating my dad's 80th. So my mom and dad, my 3 younger brothers, their wives, and all of their kids. And so well, most of their kids. I think there was 1 or 2 that couldn't make it. But so there was a lot of us there, plus the dogs. The dogs were there as well. So it was a very crowded house. And I think I soaked up the chaos and the connection of family and loved seeing my nieces and nephews, loved spending the time with my brothers and my parents and my sister-in-law. And like it was very, nourishing. It was nourishing for me. It was filling me up with something that had been a little bit depleted. And I think it was a post-pandemic situation of spending a good amount of time living in isolation. I had lived alone for a really long time, but that took on a different view and a different meaning in 2020. It was not just living alone, it was literally living in isolation. So I think there was a part of me that was yearning for being around and being with other people. And that week at Lake Placid was beautiful for that. So, and that's the part of healing that I think happened in that week. Interesting too, that I started to talk about control and that it was sort of like a conscious thing, because one of the things that my nomadic life has succeeded in for me has been I have been learning to be less controlling and to give up control. I can take it back. I can take the control back at the flip of a switch, but I can also let it go and step out of it. And that was not something that always came easy for me. But I also think that the controlling nature led to some of my problems too, led to some of the anxiety, led to some of the worry, etc. So interesting that it was as conscious of a specific topic this early on in my growth, early-ish. This was day 21. So 3 weeks of my sabbatical, but just a few days into being back east and being away from where I had moved from and all that kind of stuff. So interesting. Let's see. Let's take a look at one more. Good morning, everyone. It's Amy coming at you live from beautiful Lake Placid, Mirror Lake, Camp Awesome. Actually next door to Camp Awesome. Just sitting and relaxing before we head out for our boat ride. So something I'd like to share this morning, having a wonderful time, unwinding, decompressing, relaxing. I'm trying not to think too much. I'm not spending a lot of thinking time right now. I'm just trying to be around family, not have any expectations, just enjoy the moment, just kind of go with the flow and have fun and reconnect. So that's been great. I had a really nice opportunity the other day when we were at Saranac Lake. I have a colleague / friend, has become a friend over the years, Lynn, who lives in this area that I was able to connect with. We were able to have a couple of drinks and some dinner and catch up. And it was really, really nice reconnecting. She asked me some really great coaching questions. I know she wasn't thinking as a coach, she was thinking as a friend, but it was still great coaching questions, asking some very general questions about what I'm thinking about for the future and where I want to be and what I want my life to look like. Very, very general, open questions that I was not and am not prepared to answer. But they were good questions to keep in mind. And one of them, or a pair of them, sort of like stuck out for me. So thank you, Lynn, for this. Not only, she asked like, what are the parameters, or like, what are some of the features or the parameters that I'm looking for in building this next phase of my life. And I had a couple of, pretty general ones. But the follow-up question to that was, how will I go about figuring out what those parameters are, and what it is that I want? And that is the question of the day, and that's what I want to figure out. So, as soon as I do have some quiet time, alone time where I really want to reflect on it, that is a question that I really, really want to spend some time around. How am I going to go about finding those answers, or receiving the answers, being open to the answers, whatever it is. So thank you, Lynn, for that. The other thing that I wanted to share this morning is that this morning I just turned down a job offer, and I was postponing doing it. It was really scary to do because, it's similar to what I was doing before. It utilizes a lot of those core competencies, skill sets that I have, opportunity for, equity and, a large payout at some point in a few years or whatever. So a lot of really great things about it. Very, very similar to the world that I've been in the last 8 years. And I had been going through the motions of the interview process because I felt like, who am I to not follow through on an opportunity that is presented to me? This is an opportunity I did not seek out. It came to me, and I was afraid that I was sort of like messing with fate or luck or whatever it is, by not entertaining it and having the conversations, and going through the interviews, etc. But my gut kept telling me, this is not what you want to do. This is not the direction you want to be in. And so I, got up the nerve this morning to, send my message that I wouldn't be going any further with this conversation. And it's scary because, obviously it's nice to have security, stability. I know everything that's happening with the economy, with real estate, inflation, et cetera. So, the back of my head has that you need a job pressure, but my gut is telling me this isn't it. So that was my news for the morning. Hope you are all having a wonderful day, week, etc. And I will talk to you soon. Bye. Okay. Not the first time that I was going to get tempted back into corporate America. So that was interesting. I was trying to remember which opportunity that was, and I'm pretty sure I know what it was. And that has happened a couple times since, and it just keeps validating my decision to go in a different direction, which is awesome. So my thoughts when I watch this one, first of all, I mentioned we're about to go on our boat ride with our family. We had such a blast on that boat ride. And we did oh shoot, what do you call it when you put the tubes on a rope off the back of the boat and you're like riding the waves doing that? I did it at 55 years old. I was the only one of the adults that did it. My nephews did it, my niece, and then I went back and did it. And I think I have video of it even somewhere. And it was freaking joyful. It was just joyful. I was like just so happy. And that was part of some of the things that I learned during this sabbatical is what is it that like triggers my joy. The other thing that comes to mind is that this video is a reminder of when I sort of rekindled and strengthened my friendship with my friend Lynn, friend slash colleague. And I just always continue to learn so much from her and to get so much from her and from our friendship. And I enjoy our connection. And with the questions, the coaching questions that she asked me, which were fantastic, of course, because it's Lynn, it was a reminder that I thought I was going to travel around to different places to figure out where I was going to move to, where I was going to land. And, you know, and then figure out like the job thing. I think it's starting, even like at this point, I think I'm starting to realize that a job was not what I ultimately wanted, but I'm not sure that I was like 100% saying that or coming up with what's the alternative. I don't think I was doing that, but I definitely was thinking about where am I going to land? Where's my home going to be? I don't think that this 2022 Amy would have any idea that 2026 Amy would still be living nomadically. I don't think that I would have called it that I was being a nomad. I don't think I would have called it at this point because I was just on a sabbatical at this point. So that's interesting to hear. Like, I mean, as you can tell, I was like working through different options, different possibilities. I understand that a lot of the options, a lot of things that were open to me, that it's a privileged place to be. I absolutely understand that. And not everyone can do this in the way that I did it. I'm just saying that if you are able to take any kind of break, get any kind of stillness, focus on yourself, prioritize yourself, however that looks in your life situation, highly, highly recommend it. If what you're facing right now is like a lot of burnout, a lot of fatigue, a lot of I'm over it, a lot of I just got to keep grinding until I turn 67, if that's what's going through your head, please try to get some form of a sabbatical. And again, I'm going to link to my ebook that I wrote about a year later after this, where I document how to do this. So for yourself, whether it's a 1-day break or, months like I was able to do. So I'll link to that if that's something that would be helpful for you. My name is Amy Palmer. I am your Gen X big sister, signing out.